Hi, my name is Jenna Larson. I am 15 years old, and this is my science experiment titled Thermoregulation in Dairy Youngstock, evaluating the effectiveness of the slick hair gene on heat abatement in commercial Holstein calves. The purpose of this experiment was to evaluate the effectiveness of the slick hair gene on heat abatement in commercial Holstein calves, as stated in the title. Average milk production has increased over the years due to selective breeding, and higher producing cows are more susceptible to heat stress. Heat stress can lower milk production in cows and lead to depressed immune systems, higher risk of abortions, and lower fertility. Prior research has shown that this slick hair gene does increase thermoregulatory abilities. However, the extent to which this research has been studied in calves is limited. The null and alternate hypotheses are listed here. The null says there will be no difference, and the alternate, or if-then, says that there will be a difference. The primary materials used in this experiment was a rectal thermometer with a 6-inch probe, a stopwatch used for respiration rate, and a hobo, which measured optional climate data. For my procedures, I gathered two groups of Holstein calves. In one group was the genetically slick calves, and the other was the conventional Holstein calves. From here, I restrained each calf individually and measured their rectal temperature using a rectal thermometer and their respiration rate by setting a stopwatch for 30 seconds, counting the number of breaths, and then multiplying that number by 2. These are just some pictures of some calves that are examples of slick versus non-slick. So if you see the abbreviation NS or S anywhere in the slideshow, that is slick versus non-slick. The top example is a very fluffy, furry calf who is obviously non-slick. The bottom picture is the hydraulic squeeze chute, and the calf inside is actually slick. You can see on the right side a close-up shot with that very slick, silky hide. So these are some of my results. Day 1, respiration rate per minute is abbreviated RPM. Again, the S and NS are slick and non-slick, and I also have averages totaled at the end. This is day 1 rectal temperature, abbreviated RT, again, S and S, and then the averages. These are some graphs to give you some visual images of what the data looks like. So the green lines on all graphs is the non-slick data, and the blue lines are the slick data. On all graphs except the rectal temperature of the first day, the blue line was definitely more consistent and lower. The first day had a few more outliers because we had some difficulties with the hydraulic chute, and so it was hard to keep them restrained, which could have stressed a few calves out, which I accredit for the outliers. So yes, RPM, day 1, day 2, rectal temperature, day 1, day 2. This is my t-test results. So I ran a t-test after all my data was collected, and I combined both days of the RPM and both days of the rectal temperature. And I got statistically significant results for both because the p-value closest to the bottom was below 0.05, which indicates statistical significance between the two groups. Last is my conclusion. According to the t-tested results, both sets of data showed statistically significant differences. Because of this, I concluded that the slick hair gene did have effect on thermoregulation abilities in the calves, and therefore I reject the null hypothesis. Heat stress has already been shown to have negative impacts on calf and cow health, and with the results from the study, the slick hair gene may be a potential booster for the dairy industry in Florida, where cows are susceptible to heat stress almost all year round. I added my abstract at the end. If you'll notice at the top, it says the official copy will be in a PDF form with the ZFair entry. But I did include it here if you would like to read it here. This is just not in the official form, and this is not the only form I'm giving it in. This is just a good summary of my project. These are my references. I looked these up before my project, so I got an understanding of how I should go about conducting my project, what research had been done prior, so I wasn't plagiarizing anybody else's research. And this helped me come up with my idea to utilize the slick hair gene on calves where it had not been studied as much. That is all of my slides. Thank you so much, judges. I appreciate it. I would ask if you had any questions, but you can't really do that. Thank you again.